Hey guys. So, is jordanowen42 Satanism an issue? Let me give you the answer right off the bat. The answer is no. And let's talk about it. So, there's a fallacy, and I think it's part of the ad hom fallacy. One of the categories would be like just kind of relying on the label of a person to dissuade people from listening to them. Especially with an audience that is going to be highly prejudiced about something. My personal prejudice is conservatives, and let's take a conservative person, right, who maybe thinks Glenn Beck is king, right? They believe Glenn Beck just hook, line, and sinker, and they're one of his rabid supporters, right? So that person would have no credibility in my eyes. I mean, if I was on a lunch break and I worked with that person and I was like, oh, there's this New York Times article I want to read on such and such thing, and he said, oh, I read that, it's total crap, I would be like, yeah, I think I'll read it for myself. Right? But if the guy said, I used to work for Best Buy, and they used to do this thing with the scheduling, and they used to do that, and they wouldn't let me get health benefits, and then there were some safety procedures that weren't working out. I really had fun there, but they tend to have a high turnover rate because they don't like to pay benefits or whatever. I wouldn't not believe him because of his love for Glenn Beck. It's his personal experience, right? I wouldn't, if I owned stock in Best Buy, I wouldn't say, well, you have no credibility because you like Glenn Beck, Right, it's an ad hom fallacy, and we're aware of that. But when it comes to, okay, so let's say, I like this information. I think about pornography, there should be more awareness about these adult industries, one segment being the porn industry. And I think there should be a lot more awareness on that. So this is one of my pet topics, right? So let's say I organize a presentation and I go to this right-wing convention. This the religious right is there, right? These are people that would have wanted want Pat Buchanan to run, right? And I talk about the trials and tribulations of reporting on the topic or speaking on the topic and how much opposition we get. And let's say part of my presentation was to talk about some of the people that oppose me, right? And I could say, well, I even just had 2 or 3 things to say to this one guy about some video he posted, and he called me a cultist. And let's say I put his picture up, right? I said, this is jordanowen42, and he's a Satanist. And basically, my work there is done, right? But it's a tactic. It's like, don't you just feel angry that I would do something like that? Like, and say something like that to a group that's just so poor. And they know all about him now, right? There's nothing more they need to know. Well, they're all Satanists. They just don't know it, right? Of course they're Satanists, Teresa. They all are, right? I mean, so the reason that I bring this up is because it's just an ad hom fallacy. It's what you can get away with. It's how you can emotionally inflame your audience. Now, in the atheist community, I think Satanism would be looked at as super kooky. Just super kooky. Now, I want to make this video about the arguments. This isn't really about Jordan, and you'll see why later. I mean, I'm actually going to be talking about other people. But I think in the atheist community, I mean, don't you think Satanism is even kookier than Christianity? Wouldn't it be? I think so. So I think you give him the benefit of the doubt, though, if he's saying something that you want to hear, right? That's what I think. Okay. But when he makes videos and plays to an atheist crowd and says, "Oh, this person is like a religious person. It's immoral to them. It's a big sin." And look at them, they're so kooky. It's like, how are you not kookier? He might not be a Satanist now, by the way. I think that's what I started to say before, and then I lost my train of thought. So he might not be now, but it wasn't that long ago, just right here on YouTube, he was this open Satanist. So at one point, the guy, you know, I don't know. I know a bit about that, about Satanism. And when I was in high school, I was like, that has got to be the dumbest thing a person can do, because they're acknowledging that is the Christianity would be a true dynamic, and they just take the opposite of it. Now, in reality, the official Church of Satan does not acknowledge Christianity as true. What they're doing is they're taking that name as if it's a character in a book, and they're making a play on it, which I think is really childish. But their actual philosophy is centered around Ayn Rand. Okay, I do know a bit about this, but nevertheless, people that avow themselves to be Satanists with any serious backing, they do rituals. They actually practice this stuff. You know, they do rituals. I was thinking about all this today for like several different reasons. One, people are trying to ad hom Monica Foster for being religious. These same people, wouldn't it be funny if these same people don't ad hom Jordan over that, but they like him and they support him? Wouldn't that be funny if those were the same people? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Okay, so Monica Foster is religious, and she talks about some of the religious mythologies, like the Nephilim, which were men of great power back in the Old Testament, and it's an interesting story, you know. And some people talk about the Nephilim as it relates to powerful people today in power positions, you know. And actually, when I read that account in Genesis, I thought the same thing, you know. I thought it was really interesting. I don't know. I mean, whatever. I think she also believes like UFO type stuff or Illuminati type things, you know. And that's her. That's fine. It has nothing to do with her experience of being raped, right? She doesn't, I mean, the thing is, if you're going to tell me she loses credibility because of that, you have lost credibility. And that's the truth of it. I'm just pointing out the truth, and you're just trying to hide. You're just trying to hope nobody will notice, you know. You're like an elephant behind a twig. But the truth of the matter is that you are the one without credibility when you point that out as an issue, as if her personal experiences don't matter, especially on a video where we're talking about porn WikiLeaks that has just dropped her family and her neighbors, and all you can say is that she's religious. Meanwhile, you support jordanowen42, who's a freaking Satanist, which is stupid. And he might not be now. He might not be now, okay? I don't keep up on him, so I don't know. But I do know that he was one. He was one at one time, okay? Kookier than freaking hell, man. And they have sex rituals. So I know they don't all practice the same, but the thing is that is a part of Satanism. I mean, it's an integral part. So how likely is it that somebody that is himself involved in the porn industry, like he says, and a Satanist, that those things just aren't connected somehow, right? I was thinking about this because Monica has started talking about these Satanist organizations in the porn industry. And I was like, I don't know, it's not interesting to me for a number of reasons, just because I've done research on Satanism. I'm aware that it's a highly sexual thing. Also, you know, the porn industry is an aggregate of several businesses. It's not like, when I talk about industry, I don't mean it's a streamlined, you know, one entity type thing. There's many, many different things going on. There's factions. And so, of course, in California, if you have some Satanists there, they're going to make some movies, they're going to make some money off it because it's legal there. So, of course, you know, but the fact that it was so mainstream, I mean, Monica was a pretty mainstream porn actress, and she won awards and things like that. So it is interesting when she brings it up. I guess what I'm saying is I'm not surprised. But if people were to say, you know, maybe it's kooky for her bringing up a Satanist angle, she just does it because she's a Christian or whatever, I just think we have a representative right here on YouTube that kind of backs up what she's saying. I mean, we're not a Satanist anymore? I don't know. I mean, is there any magic, M-A-G-I-K, that he thinks is behind what he's doing? I really don't know. Anyway, I'm not hysterical about it. I'm just saying, you know, I just kept thinking of the ad hom arguments that were being made. So, that's all. But yeah, I'm aware that the porn industry is, you know, not a singular individual. There's not a wizard running it, right? So I know that Porn WikiLeaks was supposedly run by Donnie Long and some other dude. I mean, I don't keep these names straight. I don't know who they are. And that but my point in saying it was industry run is saying it's made by the producers, okay? By producers. It is not performer run. It is anti-performer. It's a way to coerce and control them and dock drop them and harass them, okay? It is not performer based. That was my point in saying it was industry run, okay? And it's not anti-porn based, right? It's within the business, and that is why I said it like that. It wasn't lying about anything, you know. It was to address, if somebody thought Porn WikiLeaks was run by somebody like Shelley, you've got another thing coming. It's run by some very unpopular, sleazy producers. Okay, so I'm aware of that, and I'm really, really happy that that there are people against Porn WikiLeaks and harassing the performers. You know, that is awesome. I'm also really happy to find out that people are watching Monica's situation, and I don't even know what to say at this point. I mean, I don't have any suggestions for anybody, but as long as people witness what is going on with her, you know, they can see what's going on. And no, I think that's all. Thanks for listening.